I was tutoring physics the other day, and we were looking at circuits and how electricity flows through a branch when there are two different resistances. Initially, the student thought that an equal amount of electricity would flow through each of the resistors, regardless of whether the resistances were equal or not. But I came up with an analogy to talk about what really happens. So basically, electricity wants to flow in a very efficient way. It's going to flow in the most efficient way possible. So if there's more resistance in one path and less resistance in the other path, more electricity will go through the path with less resistance, but not necessarily all of it. If one of the resistances is infinite, then nothing will go through, but that's not usually the case. Electrons end up behaving logically, kind of like Spock from Star Trek. So they're going to go in the most logical path possible, the path of least resistance. It's kind of like how water flows downhill rather than uphill. It takes less effort to go downhill than to go uphill. So if each individual electron is like Spock, and he comes to a corridor, and there are two doors, and he can see through them, and on one side there's a crocodile, on the other side there's an empty hallway, and he needs to get through, then he's going to go through the empty hallway. It's easier, it's logical, it makes sense. However, if, let's say we're in Star Trek and Kirk needs to be rescued, so let's say he's on the other side, and there's actually a whole bunch of Spocks, so there's not just one. What would happen logically is the first one will go through the empty corridor. He doesn't want to go through the area with the crocodiles. That would be dangerous. But if the empty corridor starts to fill up and they absolutely need to get as many people as possible over to help Kirk, then logically, it's actually going to be easier for a few of the Spocks to go through the area with the crocodiles. So most of them will go through the empty corridor, but as it starts to be congested, then a few of them will actually go through the area with the crocodiles. And that's actually similar to what happens with circuits. More electricity will flow through the path of the branch with less resistance, but some will flow through the paths with more resistance. And you can have branches with 2 paths, 3 paths, or more. So basically, the combination of what happens is going to be efficient. Somehow electrons know how to do this, so they're logical, like Spock.